If one go audit NACOVAC now, then we go for go seek presidential assent. The presidency, not auditor. What does that mean? It means say the Auditor General is being directed and controlled. You see, remember I tell you about them proclamation the way world bodies they make under Lima. Under Lima, it say in the planning, execution, and reporting of the work of the Supreme Audit Institution, nobody, not for director, nobody, not for controller. You understand? Nobody for direct the Auditor General, nobody for control the Auditor General. What they plan for do, what they execute, and what they want for report. So therefore, if that can be the situation, anything we want to do any audit, or in what we call like special audit, we want to report on separately, we need to go to president's post for them to give assent. It go touch amount to control. All right.
First issue we'll go look at inside the program this morning. Now, outside this BNTM, the Anti-Corruption Commission been pull report but waiting and fair not after some investigation then we didn't do but alleged corruption them where Honorable Ibrahim Tawa Conte been say they happen in Parliament. This investigation been take over 1 year and some people and institution them they get concerned after where some party team them with them fair not been common do. One per the institution there, na the legal link. Outside the executive director for this organization, lawyer Rashid Dumbuya say, if the Anti-Corruption Commission wants for begin do the work fair one, then for the independent body and law for their way for sure say, not to the president for appoint the Anti-Corruption Commissioner. Lawyer Rashid Dumbuya explain more to the reporter Usman Kamara inside this interview.
Many people may really want to see some tougher, outcome or sanction, against, allegations of corruption and the findings thereof. And in the report, we clearly see about 2 or 3 years, SCCF concludes, say, some members of parliament, went overboard and they not follow procurement procedures and processes, and even some not even for account, for the money where they give them eventually some people are disappointed, even self we to some extent because
that's what we link to the question. Yes. Say if as legal link organization, I feel disappointed with the outcome of the ACC concerning the parliament corruption allegation. Them
on the one hand, we appreciate the in-depth investigation, but on the other hand, there are some things where we're not really happy with, especially in the area outside the ACC. Me clear say they find some one thing on some parliamentarians for account of the money they give them, and of course some area also of procurement and procedures and processes. So here's the thing: perhaps the best option when we think say for don't apply under if ACC find out say prosecution was perhaps too far a stretch, then it should not amount to the evidential threshold. I think asking for a refund would have been the best option, and me, we don't serve now the ACC as state prosecutor, and I understand, the dynamics when it comes to corruption issue and the fight. I think there was a need there at the very least for ask for refunds, that if we don't really, come, an in-between, situation wherein, you may not necessarily prosecute, but you go ask me then refund. Particularly in the area, they will say people for account for the money they give them. These are people's money. So meetings in that area there was, a stitch, and I think going forward we recommend to the ACC for become a little bit more hard on some of the outcomes there. So especially when procurement processes were not followed and some losses occurred, and also where people cannot account for the money that we were given. At the very least, Tawa don't exhibit a lot of statesmanship. You don't show Sierra Leonean and say this is exactly how we for live with life and for fight a cause where the president itself alone don't call all of we for fight.
we get Honorable Tawa on we Monday program this year. We mentioned again, say, even though ACC don't pull the report na do, but still Parliament corrupt. You think, say, with them kind of thing, the people will get confidence in the ACC whenever it comes to investigation we get for do with present government officials?
If we now choose not for cooperate with the ACC, we don't choose the worst of the two evils. All right, and then it will be devastating for a country. So let we continue to hold them to account as we do now, call upon them side and they do bad, and check them seriously and try to call upon them. Like in this investigation, I think they fell below the expectation of the public. We need to get a whistleblower legislation separate from the provision already under the 2008 Anti-Corruption Act, because what's unclear and that there are many dynamics of whistleblowing. Now, for example, Tawa was a whistleblower initially, but then later it transformed into suspect. So, how a law for cover that kind of person they be clear under the act? And at some point, this is like abandon them in a way, and they be for take it like a suspect. So, we need a comprehensive law. We will now differentiate the category and this. So, if person initially be a whistleblower, and then later become a suspect, there should be special provisions on how to deal with that kind of person, because it don't help the commission in the first place forget information where relevant to a mandate.
You talk about area there we need improvement.
Yes.
We not like some of the area there.
I think
ACC for improve so that then kind of thing they are not go repeat or people begin question the outcome of ACC investigation anything.
Yeah, so I think the biggest area for looking at the issue of selective justice. Many people don't call upon the way they say, Lord of ACC say, may they work on that day. They do very well in the area of, recoveries, the area of even, doing systemic interventions, the area of also international ratings, all that they good. Because people want to see, say, when this kind of government officials them, perhaps they face ACC should be very robust for sure say yes. Even if na government official under this regime, we no go close with eyes. It's challenging, that is the truth. And me think say we need to go beyond and even help for reform the act so that the president will get the ultimate power for appoint the commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. That is in fact the biggest threat to the independence of the commission. I think say there should be a mechanism which will go they appoint or select, the commissioner in ways way different from the president directly appointing him. So when he comes to the office, he's emboldened, he's fearless, and he can even challenge the government of the day without any fear of being dismissed from office.
All right, that's Rashid Dumbuya, the executive director for the Legal Links. They talk about the organization in position after the Anti-Corruption Commission been pulled this BNTM report of within them fair not after some investigation them where them be do concerning alleged corruption them where Honorable Ibrahim Tawa Conte be make some 10 back say be there upon a parliament. Well, according to lawyer Rashid Dumbuya, he say the Anti-Corruption Commission forget law them way for sure say na independent institution and safe not to the president for the appoint the Anti-Corruption Commissioner. The program where they listen a Good Morning Salon, they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Well, earlier, now one power headline story, the movie tell na say today na the program where they look inside the audit service salon, they work and concern them whether they come out this BNTM against the office. Well, for can't talk about the audit service salon, they work and safe try for address some of them concern there, so why don't they come out against the office? And the studio this morning, I want to welcome Selvin Bell, winner the Deputy Auditor General from Audit Service Salon. Good morning, Mr. Bell, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
All right. Well, the Audit Service Act of 1998, where Parliament being reviewed inside 2014, they established the Audit Service Salon as an institution where responsible for conduct audits. Now, all government institutions them. And after we then don't conduct their audit here, then they pull reports them of waiting them fair not. But how then government institution here, so they use public corpo. But section 119 of the Salon 1991 Constitution say the audit service salon for be headed by the Auditor General when a person where the president for appoints for head the audit service salon for ensure say them conduct proper audits them and pull various reports them. Well, from that time to now, the Auditor General and his team done they conduct different audits them wey get for do with institution them where they use public funds. The latest one where dem been pulled are the 2019 audit report and serve the management of the COVID-19 funds. Well, from that 10 day wey dem 2 reports there come out plenty concern. Don they come out usai question they know they can, but the audit service salon they work. Well, we can look inside and concern them. But firstly, let me start with Mr. Bell. I don't give a background as to how on our office they be established by an act of parliament where they be reviewed inside 2014. From where they be get this reviewed act of 2014 to now, how the institution don't they operate?
From that time to now, as you say, audit service don't start even before the 1998 Act. Audit service an institution will be the part of the normal government business and I'll be a department inside the government. But based on best practice, the government be think wise, say audit service will be a separate institution, and that's made them be passed in 1998 Act of Audit Service. But it not become operational until 2004, and when it become operational. And in 2014, that act will be reviewed, as you don't say. From that time to now, we don't continue for doing work across the government. We don't audit all the institutions of government. We don't try for improve the capacity of the staff. We don't get a lot of support from government in terms of doing work. You know, say every year, the way we do work, we get a strategic plan, we have a 5 years plan. Mm-hmm. And that strategic plan, every year, we broken down into operational plan. So when the year starts, the whole office will come together and look at all the entities we get for audit and prioritize the audit then. We get lots of factors we use for prioritize the audit then. We can look at government agenda. We look at the volume of money where they give the different institutions them. We look at the risk where they sell the institution there. All of them factors will determine which we go audit for the year. We divided in different divisions. So we get a division where they look at ministries and local authorities. We get a division where they look at the public account and the parastatals. We get a division where we look at special audits and the department. And we get a division where basically in our administration we look at. So we all get a responsibility for doing work. So over the years, we do work. When the year done, the Constitution say before report to Parliament before the year end, that December. So we the auditing areas. So last year, when I be 2020, we audit 2019. Let me call it 2019 report. This year currently, we audit 2020 activities. So when we done for audit this year, by December, we go report to Parliament. So that's basically what we do. But generally, we do different kinds of audits. We do what we call compliance audit, financial audit, and performance audit. These are all different kinds of audit. And the audits that we do so now based on international best practice, international standards. The standards that they clear how for do them particular audit then. So for the compliance and financial audit, now they can decide the Auditor General's report which they send to Parliament at the end of the year. But for performance audit, they will do them with the report separately to the Parliament. That one because of the nature of the audit. So they can take past 1 year for do one audit. So if you begin an audit in February, you get for done the next year February. You know how we till the year done before you report.
The performance audit owner they conduct and report to Parliament. Now whose institution they owner can conduct the
so
audit?
Also the performance audit is based on the operational plan. Okay. So now we go to call area watching. So we'll get a number of topics that we are looking to. These are topics they look into. Like we don't look the operation of the buses. We don't look how malaria. We don't look a couple of things. But when the year starts, they say, okay, this area is a priority area. They not do area watching. After the area watching, now we'll determine, okay, now we audit this particular activity. But as I say, because they take a long time for complete, as soon as we done we want for report to Parliament. No one for incorporate them into the Auditor General's report what we do every year.
All right. So as you don't explain some of the work them way the audit service salon don't carry out, look at the 2019, audit report we just come out, So from that ended to now, how work don't turn for the institution?
Okay, so I think we don't care as an institution for allegation of the issue over and over. Since the reports come out, lots of public interest in this report, both positive and negative. As auditors, we see ourselves as people that really help for develop the country by ensuring that public financial management is properly done and that value for money in any money we government they spend. So people don't go like we. So people don't go like we. Especially below the audit, this all man go like we. Audit not they get plenty party. So since this report don't come up, we don't get a situation where people don't go out in the public, social media, main media, for try for discredit some things inside the report. We don't over time try for clarify to the people of Sierra Leone. We get a lot of challenges. I have to be very frank in terms of this particular point that the politics around we report don't become a challenge because the report don't become like a political tool. We know why be there and the monarchy don't be like.
How politics they come inside?
So I will just try to give an example. If you go back 10 years ago, all the work that we would do when the new government came, then work really form the basis of the COI. So if you look the COI, waiting and discussing at the COI, 80% of the issue and they emanate from the audit reports. No issue there, so I go be witness in the COI. A couple of my colleagues have also go be witness in the COI based on the report that we will pull. So now there is this tension. People that will use this report for their own individual purpose. Whether will use them for purpose in name, go use them. Whether will use them for defend. We are not happy about what the right for one for defending him. So then they bring a lot of tension. Because that we don't observe, there is a lot of tension around the report. Since we don't issue this report out with the COVID report, there has been a lot of tension. But we, as an institution, we get to remand it. We manage enshrined in the Constitution of Sierra Leone. And we responsibility now for do that work the way then give it for doing inside the Constitution of Sierra Leone. And we Audit Service Act and all the other relevant acts the way they talk about we work. So basically, even with the tension, we will continue for do we work.
You just make mention, say, tension day around on our work lately, especially people who want for use the audit report on can pull at your advantage and spoil other people their name. With all this tension we centered around on our work, it don't reach to the point where the institution don't feel like say on they be intimidated or on get a free space for conduct on our audits them.
So if I try to lay a platform on this, you see, with Supreme Audit Institution, the most important aspect of our institution now the independence of the institution. If you're not independent, you're not going to be able to do the work we do. So you see, when I come, I talk about we do work according to auditing standards. Way back in the years, they got what you call a Lima Declaration. That Lima Declaration is say all Supreme Audit Institutions for be independent from the government. Independence to audit institution are like the saltiness of salt to salt. If salt lost its saltiness, it's not going to no use again. Equally, if audit service Sierra Leone or any Supreme Audit Institution not be independent from the people where they audit, automatically it's not going to be doing work. Now that independence they get two facts. It gets in substance and in form. In form it means say per law, if a day enshrined in the law, say we're supposed to be independent. And God to speak, the laws they clear about your independence. If you go to the 1991 Constitution, it say the Auditor General get rights for access all information, all books of government. It also say in subsection 6, Auditor General cannot be controlled or directed in the conduct of his duty. In this case now, Uma will get in her duty. You understand it? But also, it has to be in substance. That means what we do work every day, we never feel intimidated. If they ask for money, you know, saying independent have two things. You get financial independence and you get operational independence. With financial independence, we're not going to be 100% independent from government because government they give money. And we'll talk about that more. But when it comes to operational wise, we will be absolutely independent. But with all of this tension and with the new things that we see, it's like this functional independence one for be questioned and put under questioning.
All right. So as you rightly mentioned, say una don't they get pressure this PNTM. Look at who sign some of the area them. Who that na the particular institution or people that wanna they get pressure for?
No, I don't want to go into specifics for say this particular institution we get problem with them or not get problem with them because inside the space of governance we try for work with all man in a way that we go. Whilst we want to be independent and be objective in doing work, we also don't want to feel too pressured in doing we work. So we not get any specific institution, but we get situation. If you look social media, you look the mainstream media, there is a lot of things going on. We're not too happy about, but we try for do we work as we require for do we work.
All right.
All right, continue for the week winner the program. In case you just tune in, you listen to the Deputy Auditor General from Audit Service Salon. His name is Selvin Bell. Today na the program we look at Audit Service Salon the work And later on, we'll go look at concern them, wouldn't they come out from the public, but question them, wouldn't they act against the office. Mr. Bell, now we come back in the area of una work una don't they do for conduct various audits and poll reports where normally una can go in a parliament for the attention of member of parliament them for let them go debate them and look inside some of the issues them where una outline inside the audit report una can pull. But before that, arguments on the come lately about the issue of paying audit fees into the consolidated fund. Now, one area that they were serious arguments on the come out say the audit service salon office no get right for pay into the consolidated fund, and other party they say we're not supposed for pay them. In that area, they what exactly the audit service salon supposed for do?
So let's start by also laying the platform. You understand? Audit service salon, we get the responsibility for audit all institutions in this country. But also the laws no say, in all circumstances, we'll get all the resources in terms of human resources, financial resources, and capacity-wise for do all the auditor by ourselves. So the law provides, say, in the conduct of his duty, the Auditor General can outsource some audits to private audit firms. You understand? So whilst we do work, we can outsource, we work to private audit firms. And the law also say, if you go to the PFM Act 2016, apart from institutions within the central government and the local authorities, all other institutions will pay audit fees. So I will give example. Like for example, NACIT will pay audit fee, ACC will pay audit fee, MPPA will pay audit fees. All the institutions they pay audit fees for the work they do. Now, as I remember, I tell you, say we will start the year, we get an operational plan, where they determine whose work that we want for do, and whose work they will also want for outsource. So for them, one day they pay audit fees. If we do the work, then therefore pay audit fees to we. If we outsource the work to a private audit firm, then therefore pay directly to the private audit firm. For them will inculcate the culture of paying audit fee. When we do our, when another person do our, then need for pay this audit fee. But also in we act, it say the Auditor General, we go to 27 of we act, it say the funding of the Auditor General. The Auditor General in administrative costs, in salaries and other things, then could be a charge on the consolidated fund. But you also say, then private audit firm they will do audit. Then one day we not to subvented agency. That means to say they don't receive money from the consolidated fund. When they pay we money, we for keep this money as part of the overall budget and for use them as we deem fit. Usually we use this money basically for training with staff for getting capacity. Over the years, at least we don't happen. We will audit an institution where they will take the consolidated fund, we receive the money every quarter, we pay the money back into the consolidated fund. For the one that way not they receive money, for example, NACIT, Airport Authority, Sagadun Port Authority, when they pay the money to we they take this money, we use them for we administrative purpose. Now, also I'll make sure it's clear because this amount we keep is part of our overall budget. When we do budget every year, if we want, I'll give you a simple scenario. If we don't assess say what we want for the year now, 10 billion euros, we go say to government, we want 10 billion euros. But out of this 10 billion, we opt for get audit fees of 2 billion. And this 8 billion now we want to give. Government now within the fiscal waiting said they will say, okay, we know we're going to 8 billion, we're going to 7 billion. So that 7 billion there plus the 2 billion we expect for get for audit fee, then will be overall budget, what they present to the Ministry of Finance, and we'll go defend our parliament. And every year, we'll go parliament, those who can go defend with budget, last year budget, and for the approval of the next budget. All of this information is made public, all of this information is captured in our financial statements. And you know, say, parliament, now they appoint auditors for audit fee. So all this money, the government money, the money we will get from this audit fees, if we get donor money, all of this money is subjected to an audit by the auditor of parliament will appoint. Now, since 2018, we start to get this challenge about whether it came into existence an act of 2017 they call Fiscal Management Control Act. We list about 6 entities them we're supposed for the part of the act. We take and say we know the based on the interpretation and the general interpretation. So we continue for what we told we money. In 2018, when the new government came to power and the president pulled an executive order for make everybody pay money into the consolidated fund, we were copied in that letter. That letter was sent to we. So when I sent so we assume say that we set for the part of them. So we wrote to the secretary of the president for the president's attention for give clearance on this matter. The president, through the secretary of the president, writes to we say, audit service not the part of this. So they write the financial sector.
We're not supposed to contribute to the
we're not supposed to pay. I will explain all that in detail. So after all this situation, this thing still continue. So we wrote a letter to the Solicitor General, to the Attorney General's office, to the Solicitor General, for the clearance on this matter. We get a response to say we are not a revenue generating office for government, so we are not part of this situation. So we've been keeping our monies from that day till to now. Only for now received a letter recently that we owe about 3.6 billion.
Letter from who?
From the financial sector. Okay. That we owe about 3.6 billion for pay back into the consolidated fund within 14 days. And we were taken aback because we got all the documents there, way clear. But also accompanied with that letter there is the Solicitor General also give an opinion, whether a new opinion, way different from the opinion we get before. So when we see this thing, we have to respond. We respond and say, wait a minute, we get this Solicitor General, the last Solicitor General opinion, we get this letter from President where it's clearly say, we're not supposed to be part of all of these things. So this has been the argument. But let me state one thing.
So during the time when I don't forward the letter then or don't explain to the FS about the different letter I don't get from President and so what may be in response towards that?
Okay, so I'll come to that. So recently, inside this week, the Auditor General began a meeting with the Speaker of Parliament, and that meeting the FS office was represented on this same issue as to what the concern about whether we make for people monitor the legal issue, all of that. So, waiting the agreement now, we said they look at the FS office is not about them wanting to control we, because also this issue for we independence. When you look at this money is part of our budget. If somebody begin say for petty money at treasury single account, then later go give you or a keeper, it will be like a control issue. But the office maker class, the FS office maker class, is not about them wanting to control audit service, but they want to get a bigger picture of all government revenue. So what thing that they propose is that there will be an account opened in a Bank of Sierra Leone, where we go to pay this when we get an audit. Let's say, for example, we audit NACIT, we will give NACIT that account number there, then pay the money to the account. But that account will be controlled by Audit Service Sierra Leone. You get me? So Audit Service Sierra Leone will be responsible for withdraw money for that account, and we will get unrestricted access to the money. We're kind of okay with this because we want to get a global picture. But we're still concerned about the fact that audit service is not a government agency with generating revenue for government.
So audit service don't agree for this proposal where the financial sector in office make.
So when you consider that, as I said, the concern is we don't want for the audit service to be seen as an agency where they generate revenue for government. That's not our work. I'll give you the perspective. Let me tell you, the work we do, we need resources for doing. If a private audit firm go audit Bank of Sarah, go audit Zenith Bank, for example, now, it has to be paid for that service. You get me? Eh? Similarly, audit service, in a way, is being paid for the service we get to government. But because we are within government space, this subvention where government they provide for with salaries and for with other charges. Now, basically, they pay we for do this work. So we need to generate revenue for government. I will give you an example. Within the Afro-Side, South Africa, for example, they don't receive subvention from government. What do they do? If they want to go audit Minister of Finance, for example, then we'll send them bill, Minister of Finance pay them. If they want to go audit Minister of Agriculture, so then they actually invoice the agency, and the agency they pay them. Because when you look at the grand scheme of things, the money where government they provide for we, now for do the service, so like a payment, we know they generate revenue for government. And now, come and think about it. Look the quantum we involved. This money, a big channel is 2 billion euros. Take 2 billion euros and think about the government budget. So it will be like a 6 trillion. This is now 0.00 something %. Even if one gets a global picture, with or without this 2 billion, it will make little or no difference in the grand scheme of affairs. You understand? Eh? So we don't want the narrative for say audit service they generate revenue for government. We do not generate revenue for government. But if for the cash, because it's for the cash flow situation, they want for the city's money and report on them, I think that's until they consider whether we can move the account, because now the account in a Sierra Leone commercial bank, we could just move and go to the Bank of Sierra Leone. This is basically what will be done. So going forward, every new Sierra Leone go audit will give them the account of the Bank of Sierra Leone, they paid to Bank of Sierra Leone. So that are basically the situation, boys.
All right. So as you rightly say, you don't explain different things then for let the public understand. So per institution, we want to go audit. We not like the amount or the fee we want to ask them for.
So the fees what they charge to institution are based on various determinants, various factors. So one, the complexity of the institution. Two, the number of staff who go put into that institution, the caliber of staff who go put, the time duration we will take. So, for example, if you take Ministry of Agriculture, for example, like a big ministry, the time we will spend for audit them, and the time we will audit one small agency like NPPA, it will be different. So, that then are the thing where they determine the audit fee. So, it's not fixed, it's not fixed fee. It determine on the complexity, the risk of the entity, the number of staff who will send it, and the time who will spend it. So the audit fees are varies based on the entity and all the factors I don't tell you so.
Mr. Bella, bring you back to una work and the effectiveness. For una able for do una work independent one according to the acts and the constitution we establish on our office. Una need finance, una need funding for able for conduct various audits them una they do na MDs them. In terms of the effectiveness and how not only get this on a budget or subvention, how it on the flow.
So as I say, we are part of government, and government generally not get money. We not oblivious of that fact because the ones they from the citizen and the things that the government want for the government priorities, then plenty. So government not get money. But I have to be true when I talk about this. Over the past years, up to while I talk to you now, we have had a good relationship with Ministry of Finance. We send we budget, they will tell you what you get, and that amount we tell we say, now when I hear this, true to speak, before the year done, we will receive all that amount. And there are a lot of times where you don't give it priorities. Why is they wait for give people other people the money for right? Say we want to go do we work, they can give you your money. We they get with money up to last year, up to the end of the year. We get with money them for the whole period, and we get them on time. And I will say the money when they give you do. Because we have got a long wish list. But based on what they know, allocate to we, and what we can get, we can receive them. This year, we not receive nothing. So from January to it don't be the 18th of March, we not receive money. And this is worrisome a little bit.
So you think, say, the back and forth memo, the mode on the come up between our office and that of the Ministry of Finance responsible for the delay?
I know one specifically say so. It is a possibility. I don't want to say yes, they make no good money because what can happen? What can be at say by February we not receive money. We can now write to the minister and the FS for say say we can start council's audit. Say council's audit they do all over the country, and we go for send we staff them. We go audit all them council, the 21 councils, and definitely we go need for provide money for them per diem, for their accommodation, and for facilitate their movement in field and other things there. And the budget is really big. So we can tell them say, well, when they can start to once we work for the councils, then can we receive our first because quarterly they go money. The money they divide into 4 quarters and split them and give it. So by then 10 they are really weak, So we hope say probably before this week they don't or next week we will receive money. We'll just open, but we'll not receive money yet.
All right. So as you rightly do explain the good relationship between owner with the finance ministry. Now the public waiting on the outside the public now that it seems as if audit service and finance ministry not the see one side again. So waiting at the issue we make owner the gets then challenge there right now. We up till now as you say owner not receive on a budget yet.
So I don't say specifically say we are Ministry of Finance, not the see one side. Because the Ministry of Finance are a key stakeholder for audit service Sierra Leone. Like any other office we do in Sierra Leone. The challenge, as I say, they say who pays the piper constitution. And financial independence, although you're not going to be 100% independent financially, but you have to be independent in some way. So let's make the best practice, the good practice all over the world now. Now for make what they operate Westminster system. Now for make we budget where the year starts for ring fence and so we don't tell we say you they get 10 billion in some jurisdiction. That 10 billion the 1st of January they don't put in your account. All the 10 billion. So nobody go influence when you go receive them, how you go receive them. We do understand the financial problems that we Sierra Leone get. But we say if they looked forward to that situation we are in, we will reach a point in time where we go put this full money inside this account and do am. The challenges are many, as I say, and it continue to be a challenge. But we know the civil self like we do at loggerheads with Ministry of Finance. Yes, we get misunderstanding about how for deal with the audit fees. And I think say at some point we will get to a point where we will meet and agree how we will move forward. Right. The only side will be get concerned that we Ministry of Finance with the right, so we say we for go pay back 3.2 billion, which was not okay.
All right. Continue for day with we in the program. Selvin Bell, Deputy Auditor General from Audit Service Salon. They look at their work and some concern them where don't they come out but then work. When they come back to you, Mr. Bell, after all the challenges the way you explain, say when I don't they get, especially they all get for do with the audit service paying the audit fees on receive from institution them into the consolidated fund. With all them back and forth here, I feel say at this point, I don't be restricted for doing our work because I understand say this being term. We want to go audit NACOVAC concerning the money when they get from the COVID-19 testing from people looking for travel, but still they get challenge for get response from NACOVAC.
So, like you say, the Constitution clearly mandates we not for being directed or control. But recently, we get the vibes like people that want for begin for direct and control the Auditor General in conduct of our duty. Like you mentioned the issue of NACOVAC, the audit service are alone, the way we do work, we they assess risk generally. And if we see any specific side, we see the risk high of public management of funds, management of fund or revenue or anything, we can automatically go. The reason I make we do the COVID audits, and the same reason I make we do the Ebola audit in 2015. So as a follow-up to the audit of the NACOVAC, we look, say, a lot of money is being generated through this testing. And we want for say controls they make so we will misuse this money. So as an office, we decided say we need to look into that. As you rightly say, we get challenged right now for do that audit because NACOVAC not signed up to the engagement letter we send it. And
there is this issue, Mr. Bell. There is this issue of audit service supposed to get presidential accent before una get the authority for go do the testing. Then they been come up from NACOVAC. So
they not specifically say that. They say they will get back to we. I want guide the discussion. Maybe waiting on paper. Because when somebody writes formally, that's situation that you go address. But also, as I say, we get this vibe from very senior quarters then. Say audit service, where you want to do special audit, you for write to you for seek presidential assent for do this. And most times, then they quote section 119, subsection 7. That portion there of the Constitution. You see, subsection 6 say, the Auditor General in the conduct of our duty shall not be directed or controlled. Now, when it comes to subsection 7, it tells you say, notwithstanding waiting in subsection 6, the president, and they put at the paraphrase, the president can request the Auditor General, based on public interest, through cabinet or through parliament, for audit any specific institution where they mention under subsection 2. Whether that means to say the public account, the court, the university, all anything. Government can request. I will give an example. In the past, government requested for the certain work. Under the last administration, the former president requested for audit from CSOs them, who will do and we report on them. Inside this new administration, when power change and when we get in this administration, under the GTT report, a recommendation was there that we do a technical audit, where the Ministry of Finance, with the blessing of the President, be right to audit service to the Auditor General, for request the Auditor General for do an assignment. You know the word request mean you can accept or you can turn them down, you can decline. Request don't mean an order. So we understand this, if President gets something where he fit to say, for the best interest of government or for the people of Sierra Leone, we need to look into this particular place. He can write to the Auditor General for do that work. But now the vibe so they get is that section they mean say, if we want to do special audit, we for seek presidential assent. Let me explain. I'll take some time for explain. There is nothing within section 119 where even mention special audit. There is nothing. Now, the reason why we call some audit a special audit, now because we require report them on them separately. You know, say the Constitution say, we for submit report to Parliament, a report to Parliament or at the end of the year. So what we don't do all we work, when the year they done, we do that Auditor General's report. But also, there can be issues them like the Corona, the Ebola audit, the COVID audit, then performance audit them. We require we for report immediately as soon as we done. Then we can refer to a special audit. So then we can do them, and then we can report to Parliament. But what's special in that phrase there, now the timing of reporting. You get me? Because we can still do that work in there. We wait till the year done, we put it inside the Auditor General as a report with the report to Parliament.
Mr. Bell, in all them challenge here, where they explain, it clearly shows the interpretation of the different laws them were established the audit service and the laws they wanna don't they use for conduct on our audit them. It look they get challenged for interpret them. And normally we don't they see outside Parliament can kind say where issues then like this can come up. Somebody go on for ask the question now, say in all of them confusion there about would I get right for do this and do that outside Parliament they at this point.
Okay, so we at some point we will engage Parliament. But you see, interpretation of the law, not to Parliament data. Parliament only make law. When it comes to interpretation of law, now the judiciary, I mean we have three different arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So we understand this as well, I don't want to call myself layman, but when you get interpretation of law, all man, we don't see the situation where we get this thing about vice president. We went to the Supreme Court.
I say outside Parliament Day because let's take you back to some years. We don't see outside Parliament being kind side, where some confusion be there between Parliament and the Anti-Corruption Commission. At one point, one have been pulled an audit report about other get right for looking inside the report first. So, normally, Parliament can come inside some of the
so issues. Because that one they be directly related to Parliament, because you know say the reporting mode with the report to Parliament and Parliament for sits. The document become a public document because the Megati is telling all long since. Maybe they say unless Parliament look into the report, nobody no get right for watch the report, for talk about the report. But we don't move past that one day. We don't get a situation we are in. As soon as we lay the report in Parliament, we put them, they become a we know they discuss them actually, but when they make the world know about them, we become a public document, we upload on our website. So because that situation they include Parliament, because Parliament they get prime us over the issue of discussing the report, and because an issue with ACC, we are think at that point they be don't try for solver. This matter now, as an office, we wait till we get official communication on this matter. Because with the area and corner, somebody will talk in meetings, they will not go before discussing public. Okay. But if somebody now writes so we formally for say, wait a minute, before you can do this work for me, go see presidential assent, we will take care of that. But that the vibes that they get, and that is very, very, very unfortunate.
All right. So if that's happened for una the seek the consent of the president, you know, this get for affect on our work in any way?
Very much so. And the law not say we for seek. I want to make it clear. The law not say we for seek presidential assent. If they want to do that, it means an operational control. Let me explain, for example. If we want to audit NACOVAC now, then we go seek presidential assent. The president say no auditor. What does that mean? It means say the Auditor General is being directed and controlled. You see, let me tell you about them proclamation the way world bodies them make under Lima. Under Lima, it say in the planning, execution, and reporting of the work of the Supreme Audit Institution, nobody, not for director, nobody, not for controller. You understand? Nobody for direct the Auditor General, nobody for control the Auditor General. What they plan for do, what they execute, and what they want for report. So therefore, if that can be the situation, anything we want to do any audit, or when we call like special audit, we want to report on separately, we need to go to President's post for them to give assent. It go touch amount to control.
All right. Continue for the program. Selvin Bell, Deputy Auditor General. Let we relax now and listen to this music.
It's nice to take on the beat.
On this one, I sell King James.
Mama Salona, we own and we only for being defender. Whether you dey party A, party B, we only for come together. Skyber ones in no they pay, and that's we only for remember. Say, land that we love, Mama Sarah, we don't say we suffer. With all the riches and virtues, them all we get, we can make this land as a better place for we. Green mountains and sandy beaches, we get everything for make Salon go be good for we. We just need for love with self now. Papa God self go help. We just need for help with self. Papa God self go help. So why we forfeit myself, oh? When we need for the help myself, oh. Mama Salon need we help, oh.
United we stand and divided we fall.
So why we forfeit myself, oh? When we need for the help myself, oh. Mama Salon need we
On this
help,
one,
oh.
together we stand and divided we fall. Let we focus, take with time and let we understand. Mama Salona, we only motherland. The country banner, yes we know, but the freedom where we get here, trust you no go get them na another land. This not to time for let we vex fet. Not to the time this at all for let we tight bet for push fet. This not the best time for no say development na race on your marks all for all let we get set. This country has so made investors. We lack bakuti the medicators who we need from the right source. The clean water for the gun, free medical for data with disposal party not to pass a death nurse. No matter your money or your power, now you mind you for no say salon big for we all know. Not for today, now for tomorrow and bambai. If salon fall trust, now we all follow.
So why we forfeit myself, oh? When we need for the help myself, oh. Mama Salon need we help, oh.
United we stand and divided we fall.
So why we forfeit myself, oh? When we need for the help myself, oh. Mama Salon need we help, oh.
Together we stand and divided we fall.
Gosh on the hits me.
Song titled Together, and I managed to do that song there for we inside the program Good Morning Salon. We they come back to Selvin Bell, we are the Deputy Auditor General from Audit Service Salon. As today we they look at them work and concern and challenges them where they get during the term where they can conduct various audits them. Mr. Bell, one issue where don't they come up, especially 10 day owner can just follow and report them from the various MDA the owner can audit and publish. Now the issue of the term where the auditor then can go for go conduct the audit. Certain documents them not can ready then the but the institution then can provide the documents and data, but so not able for capture the again in sound report.
Okay, so I think we don't do a lot in terms of educating the public on the audit process. The audit process is not so a one-day process. Not so like we go today, we go audit for commodity. It takes time. The audit process starts with engagement letter. We write to the person say, we can audit you. We go need the documents there. We cannot attach the documents we can need at the back of the engagement letter. With all the terms and agreements of the audits, what we go do. What's our responsibility, what's our responsibility. And they can sign up. If you don't sign up to the engagement letter, I mean to say, you're ready for local audit you. We're going to the place now. But the greatest challenge we get is the availability of documentation. There are times you go not sit on this side 1 week, 2 weeks. You go to the auditor in premises, they wait for documents. And what people they fail for realize, the audit process they start where you provide the document to the auditors for do the audit. This has been a challenge. Now I will give you fast forward, I will come to current situation. Now what should they do? And we don't do it in the past. Now for document. So if we ask you for general ledger today, inside 1 week, you not give it, we write you a reminder. And now what they say like reminder, they will make sure say you sign for receive that letter day. Put in our way book and keep that way book there. As of yesterday, I will review my team the way they audit. I know we call the MDA name. I get for call the vote controller will say, you staff them. And we don't write letters, I don't write 3 separate letters them. I say up till now, we conclude this audit this week. You staff them still not give you documents it. This is a challenge. The challenges with audit are many. But also, the challenge we can get, apart from the availability of documents, and the fact that they transfer people, like they cancels them. Like when they go to this council now, Mr. A, and don't do for more than starting now, they will take a transfer and from both city council, they can't go Kailao city council. Then a new challenge begin. Because the new man will come, most times, they do handing over, or they do taking over, they not get access to information, they don't know what to be happy within the period, then the challenges begin for even provide answers, provide documentation and things like that. This is the second challenge. But the other challenge we get, there are a lot of people that within the MDs that are not capable for do the work where they put them for do. Okay. So I have to be very frank. You know, when I make go audit, usually we can look at the recruitment process. For say, if they say Mr. A, an accountant, he able, he get the qualification, he get the experience to be an accountant.
All right, so when I can find out the issue then the waiting as audit service, what I can do in terms of advice.
So, what we do, you know, I make they find out the easy for the problem because you always see problem. If you go audit somebody, you know meet proper account or you know meet document, you want to know what to do that. They call that the root cause. So if we go and identify the root cause now per recruitment or training, what they do we report? By the recommendation will tell you say the make training for this person in social area. Let the person go be capacity for do. But if we go meet, you recruit people away, you not go through any recruitment process. We can put in the report say the recruitment process not right. You not do one through an open competitive basis, and therefore then they lead to all these problems the way you get within your office.
So ministry them owner can give the recommendation to don't they take them recommendation as serious?
Well, the biggest challenge, when I can say the biggest challenge for audit service is the issue of implementing our recommendations. This is not today. This is from 10 years ago, from 15 years ago. This has been in challenge. That was the time, and I think we still do them inside our report. We can put the level of implementation of the recommendation. We say 30%. We usually move between 30 to 40% implementation. I mean to say 60% of the recommendations are not implemented by government.
All right. Now, plenty concern again from the public and right up. We don't do around social media. Now that audit service alone, not they work in the interest of the country. Una they try for blackmail the government.
So let me I'll put it this way. When the Auditor General take up office, she took an oath. You understand? She took an oath to protect the Constitution of Sierra Leone. She took an oath for say, all manner of people in this country are going to be fair to them, without fear or favor, without ill mind or without anything. So she took an oath, and we they report and work on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. We know party bias, we know color bias, we know tribe bias, we know regional bias. We work for ensure say probity day in governance. For ensure say value for money day, we will spend the government's money. And we now for the people of Sierra Leone we they work for. And as far as God give you the strength, we will always support the Auditor General, and the Auditor General will always ensure say that responsibility we take an oath for reports on matters of governance to the people of Sierra Leone. No matter what's in the situation, whether people call them blackmail or not call them blackmail, the responsibility is to do the right thing, and we will continue to do the right thing.
From always you don't explain, not to secret say serious challenge day na audit service for doing our work. And presently, UNADEPAN conducts the audit for pull the 2020 audit report later on this year. How then challenges they affect the ongoing audit?
So, as I said, the challenges most of them are new, except for the situation where we want to see direction and control into the job of the Auditor General. But generally, the challenges there are like ongoing challenges there. We still get constraints for get documents for people.
According to they get the vibe say certain quarter wants for control on our work. And presently, they conduct the audit for pull the 2020 audit reports. How then challenges that they affect the ongoing audit?
So like I mentioned to you, the issue specifically is not about the general work who they do. That you not ever tell you anything. And the normal, probably normal of somebody give you documents, and we will always the report. The issue of somebody want control we just special audit them. And now they ask and when it come up, because I don't say at some point, because we don't get the vibes, we sit down and wait for a formal response for say, no go do this work, I go to president. When that point they come, as an office, we go sit down, go look all the minutes available to we for seek redress in a matter and take the matter up. But since we not get any official communication yet, you understand? We go on with the situation of we go do we work for the year and nobody will control it.
Right. One issue we come up inside the last report get to do with the generator. You know, institution them they say na audit service, salon may make small mistakes in terms of the watt of the generator. Una they say then say na 65, then una may go see 50. So una may be able rectify this particular issue.
No, there's nothing to rectify. The audit has said audit now a whole long to take a boring process. Because what we do as auditors now for look at information. I think say my colleagues there over time will not explain the issue of generator. I'll just go briefly on that no more. And I will give a scenario. If you tell me say you get phone when are 265 megabytes or how you call it gigabyte space in the take. That's what you tell us. So all the documents say. Then I go see phone when they take 500 megabytes. I say, okay, I don't look all the documents now. Then I say, I see this phone physically. Then you bring phone now when are 500 gigabytes in the take. I'm not going to believe say that phone when they on record like in now one day. This is the situation of that generator. We don't deal with them. It in our report. We don't say we report go Parliament. Parliament don't sit on the report, and Parliament left to Parliament now for report to the executive on that matter. But we don't do our own party. We don't do it constitutionally. We are mandated to do. We have to report to Parliament on that matter.
By the look of things and the way the issues and they unfold, especially with the new media now, when at the social media, various like top them, it like say now government versus audit service. Now so the working relationship supposed for the.
No, well, the working relationship not to government versus audit service. The working relationship now, audit service has to be independent and independent enough to be able to do the work. So that's what we strive for. That's what we always want to strive for to be independent and able to report to the people of Sierra Leone. We don't want to talk for the government, for say we did against them. I don't know if the government they feel that way there. If they feel that way there, I think when I can get on a radio, I will ask them if they feel that way there. But we all work based on principles, it's based on rules, it's based on procedures. Then principles, rules, and procedures, and they will follow. So if we go, let's say if we do this rule, for do A, B, C, you not do them, we go right there. If you do them, we know exception report you will do. So if possible, let's tell you one thing. There are institutions in this country where they go audit. Where they go not see nothing wrong. So you don't go see them in the Auditor General's report.
Like which one them?
Well, most of them projects them because the projects they are properly controlled. You know, projects where World Bank they give money, ADB they give money. They also they provide that supervision over the operations. So most times with the project they would go and they get qualified people. Most of the project, the financial management expert, na chartered accountant. The procurement person will be an experienced person. The M&E person will be an experienced person. So because they get one, the willingness for do the right thing, and two, they get the qualification and the experience for do the right thing, we're not going to get issue with them projects. Then.
There's this question when they come up lately, say, that they audit the Auditor General.
So don't say a lot of right up on that, and I'll be careful explaining where I start. The Constitution of Sierra Leone, 119, I think subsection 809, say Parliament and get the power for appoint an auditor for Auditor General. So every year, even as I speak to you now, we don't do a report. By February we go on, we send and go Parliament. Parliament and they appoint the auditors. So now we wait for Parliament for send an auditor. So we will not influence the situation. And then they decide who that they want for the car auditory. We can auditory and make books available.
All right. So during the process there where they can audit owner, you know, how owner don't they inform the public about the findings them we the auditor them, you know, the get from owner?
We auditor reports always in our website. And I tell you, now when the auditor they can like I can see them all they go this their project them, who they get nasty for right. Now so we auditor the council because of we robust internal control system, because of the willingness for do the right thing. When they cancel when they look with processes and procedures, they look with books, they look with the numbers that's how we account. Every year now, we get a clean opinion, and also they get a clean management letter.
All right. Now we look at few of the text messages them. We don't come for you, Mr. Bell, and go try for answer to them. The first one I read, they come out from Mystic Dwazak from the Facebook page. It say hands off our Auditor General. The Auditor General, neither the audit service, are not responsible for the massive misappropriation of public funds by the current administration. In fact, they should embrace the Auditor General for such a good job over the years. Thumbs up.
This other one say the distribution of funded tractors among private sectors for the uses of our farmers within the country is ordered to achieve the aims and objective of the new direction government of President Bio. It is timely and welcoming news for us as Sierra Leonean, most especially for those that are involving into agricultural activities.
This other one, they say, waiting that account they get for do with Ministry of Finance and cash flow, you know, make one sense, not to money finance for use in their daily activities. So how it connects to the cash flow. Also not to revenue we then generate for government or tax way NRA or finance go see the need for factor into the annual collection. All not just ploy for twist audit service cause they know make they expose the corruption we don't they happen inside 3 years. They want for the old their money for strain them work effectively we not full, make governments left audit service serve for.
Okay, this other one from my Facebook page say what they said during campaign is completely different from what they are doing now. During opposition days, they said the APC is mismanaging our country resources, but now they are doing the wrong thing.
From NZ Amara, our Facebook page, they say the relevance and reliability of audits cannot ever be in doubt. As such, the audit profession must work with global regulators to ensure unwavering confidence by investors in the professionalism and integrity of the auditors who perform the work and in the relevance, transparency, and reliability of audits. Therefore, government should interfere not with their job. We move.
This other one say how genuine the audit service alone then will be.
All right. Well, from their messages then they come back to Selvin Bell for let's try for respond.
Okay, thank you. All the people that we don't send text messages there in. It is clear that most of the people in the on we side, in terms of which way they talk, except for the last post we say how genuine we work be. We work what don't do all over the years. Speak volume for which we don't do. If you go back even 15 years, we report the whole day on the website. They should say as best as possible. We tell within the resources where we get. We don't do the best. And we dey continue for try for do the best. As an institution, we know they say we don't arrive at that point where we not get issues there for sort out. But we dey try every year. We are a learning institution and make we spend so much money, but we staff them for them we then get the experience where they need. We are an institution, we get, I think the country right now, we get the highest number of qualified accountants. We got about 30. We dey homegrown them. Then revenue how they receive from there. All these fees there, and they will use for sending the staff them for go study outside, for go get experience, training, pay for the ACCA. We do all of this. So that person will say how credible we work be. We work, speak volume over the years, and we will continue for improve, and we will continue for improve. We mandate now for support government in ensuring financial management is proper, probity day within financial management, and value for money day, and we will continue for do that. We all have people that we talk positive things. We will continue for do what we don't do.
All right. This one say, what is your best wish for transparency and accountability, and your worst fears?
So my best wish now for a situation we will get fully operational independence and financial independence. We wish now that it will be a point in time now, Salome, once we go for a budget, we say we want 15 billion. Then we'll give that 15 billion there. Then we'll put her and we'll ring fence them. If government not get all the money, government will ring fence the money. But if government got all the money at the start of the year, then we'll put in our accounts and we'll go for user. My worst fear, and I believe that the worst fear of the audit office, that the too much politics will not come around with reports. And this issue of control we want to come inside. This could be worst fear because now the politics will not come with reports, and it leads to all of the things that they get the vibes say. And people don't want for big control.
But somebody go and say this is not a new thing. If over the years, any time where the Auditor General pulling reports, so many conversations can happen about that report, especially on the issues of misappropriation.
So we not worry about the conversation. There will always be conversation, so but we worry about the effects of the conversation. This year, now the first year, we see people that openly they attack the office on social media, and this is not a story. We get it, but plenty issue. We don't see a whole media audio or video on AYV and we say people they pull issue them. They make audio. They talk about your work. They discredit your work. They try for discredit what you do. This is the first year we don't get that kind of challenge there. And not only don't stop there. We don't see this issue of possible control we want for cancer. So that is really now a fear, and we take as a passive fear. But now it don't become a little bit more than what we say as perceived.
More back way to go around that. Now, one the give documents to other body them for later the publication to the public. How to go about that?
It is not possible. We get a very robust system within the office. We ensure we get a full trail of our documents they work within the office. There is no way, and we get to it. Let me tell you, inside the office we get with condition of service and we get with rules there. If in any unlikely event a staff does that, it will be subjected to disciplinary action. But we not feel say we do that and we don't get issue people they say, oh, all the report document will come out recently and all the service. We have had those documents from 2018. So the Solicitor General's letter, the SP letter, we don't get them from 2018 now with records. You never find a way to the public. But remember when you write letter to people, you copy people, you attach and you no longer have control. If you write a letter, you copy 10 people. Then 10 people, all then 10 people you don't copy, get a document in it. If you find a way on social media, will you hold us accountable? These are documents we don't get from 2018. And then in our office, it don't ever go to public. How will you now say that we bring the documents here to the public? It's just not correct. People they give the office bad name.
So you say Una earlier I ask you about the issue we get for do with paying on audit fees into the single treasury account or the consolidated fund. You say Una they try for consider and make a decision on that. How soon the public go hear from Una?
So we are an institution where we know well I know I say we need discuss we need make things known to the public. But at some point anything we do go come to the public.
But this now discussion we don't catch the public eye, especially with the back and forth about Una get right for do so or Una not get right for do so.
So as I say, this issue of this for whether for move the accounts to Bank of Sierra Leone, because I'm missing now for simply move the accounts from Sierra Leone Commercial Bank and Bank of Sierra Leone, and we will still get control. If we still get control over the accounts, as we get control over the accounts where they commercial bank, there's no problem, Khadija. But if they go back Bank of Sierra Leone, they will not get control over the account. Then it will be an issue. And the good thing is, the last discussion we'll get, they not tell me say pay money back, because that was the issue. I can't tell me say pay money back since 2017. So the fact of the matter where the FS office don't forget about that pay money, because they know it's not right for asking for pay money back, because this money we use so it was part of our budget. We have reported on it. It has been audited, and it's a public information. So why will you ask us to pay money back when you know say this money are part of the funding for the particular period?
All right, that's now Selvin Bell, Deputy Auditor General from Audit Service Salon. Every day we tune at the program when they look at the audit service, then work various audits they would can conduct from MD them and self the reports them where they don't they pull and they talk about some challenge them where they get during the time when they do their work. Many thanks, Mr. Bell, where you come at the program this morning. Hope so you will continue for your from audit service as to how now they pull on various reports them.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, now they end the program. Good morning, Salon for today's edition. Alex Lawrence Kumai, Michael Sambola, and then produce the program. DJ Lava, na give you technical support. Moses Kavora and in team, na they make una watch we live now on Facebook. And to all of Facebook viewers, they want to say many thanks for una they continue for tuning and watch your programs them. Mina Khadija Baguga, they say get yourself a lovely day.
And don't forget for listening to 12 o'clock program, 7 o'clock news, and 9 o'clock waiting to be. And not forget for listening to country music. We will come to you this Thursday afternoon. So till we meet another time, we bring this edition to you this afternoon. My name is Usman Kamara.